Hi, I'm J4P Brooks and I'm the British Tech Guru. I said I was going to do another technical video, but, well, it is kind of technical. Technical on survival. Several things were brought to my mind by various people after they saw that video that I did earlier today. And the number one being, what's happening in society right now. Well, I've talked about the problem of theft, retail theft, and rising prices. I haven't mentioned all the riots that were happening a couple of years ago, and there was, I think it was Seattle, had the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone where the rioters took control of the center of the Capitol and kept control of it for, I believe, 2 months, during which they looted and burned just about everything. And I talked about this, what is going on here with my dad. And he said, well, it sounds like society is breaking up. Well, I'm looking at it and he's probably right. We've got a problem in that we've got unrestricted theft, and more theft than there has ever apparently been ever before. Less people working, but because they can live perfectly happily without working. And in fact, I was talking to somebody I met the other day when I was making my videos, and this fellow was a former soldier, and he agreed that that things were getting a little bit bad, a little bit strange, which put me in mind of all the abuses of the social system. The social support system is absolutely wonderful. It supports those who are desperately in need, and I would not do away with that at all. I firmly believe in social support and social aid. The problem is, yes, people will abuse every system, just like they abuse politics right now, just like the politicians abuse being in power and feather their own nests. Well, you will get abuse of any and every system. And if you try to stop the abuse by using draconian measures, then you negatively affect the people who are desperately in need of the support. And yeah, no, that's not a good way to go. But the big problem is things are going downhill. We've had riots. People have realized that they can riot and have no problems, no comeback. And the only difference is the rioting a couple of years ago was all destroying business property and individual citizens' property and state property. So the government just didn't give a rat's ass. Now the problem is, with the January the 6th, they actually invaded the Capitol, and they were doing the same thing in the Capitol building. And that was when government decided it wanted to step in, and that's why most of the January the 6th people have been arrested, because that affected federal government. If it doesn't affect federal government and state government really doesn't give a rat's ass. So basically, the government does not care about you. You have to care about you. Which brings me up to survival. You need to get into a situation where you can survive. And we might lose electricity for any number of natural or other reasons. So if you're out in the country and you have a well, you need to have a manual well, that you can pump by hand. If you're living out in the country, don't live in a fancy mobile home or whatever, but have a ramshackle tin shed and keep a nice camper in it that you can live in. Because your goal is not to be found. At least not to be found by the bad people, and the bad people will come from the cities. They won't have much of a clue about survival in the country, but they'll come. So you need to survive. And there's all this thing with survivalists about guns and ammunition. Okay, suppose you're going to leave your place. How many guns and ammunition are you going to be able to carry with you? Not an awful lot, to be honest, and you might not be able to get more ammunition. So my best advice is not to go down the guns and ammunition route, but to go down the bows and arrows route. I just looked online, and there's a recurve bow at Sportsman's Warehouse for about 150, £50 draw. That is more than enough to hunt wild animals and to deal with unwelcome visitors. And the problem with a gun is it makes a noise, and the government does not like silencers. And this is very strange, because here in America the government says no, you can't have a silencer unless you pay $200 to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms. Well, in Britain they encourage silencers so that the shooting ranges will be quieter and people's hearing will be protected. In America they seem to be afraid that silencers will be used by crooks, and in fact nothing is going to stop a crook getting hold of what a crook wants. So, and that has been proven time and time again. So yeah, and I'm saying go with bows and arrows, because the arrows are reusable. They're also cheap and light, and when the government comes to confiscate your guns, as they will when there's ever social upheaval or social problems or riots or whatever, they'll ignore the law, they'll come to confiscate. And rather than having an armed confrontation with people wearing body armor, well, I mean, you could try and defeat the body armor by spraying the bullets with PTFE or Teflon lubricant. That probably might work, but the problem is they'll keep coming and coming and coming. There are more of them than there are of you. Better just to have the bow and arrow, which won't be on any registry. Pay cash, buy yourself bow and arrow, buy yourself a pocket knife like mine, head out into the wilderness, live like nature intended. Don't go in for anything electronic or electric. No cell phones, radios. They can be traced and tracked. You need to go totally off-grid, which means living like the 18th century. So anyway, that is my thought, given that the situation does seem to be getting pretty bad. And theft, people not working, we are in the midst of great economic uncertainty, great economic downturn, major social problems. Be prepared. That's all I've got to say for you right now, and I promise you the next video will be on technology.